I don't know, podcasting is new. It feels like blogging. Podcasting is the community that I wish the Black gay community could be.
And this is Chris from Brothaspeak Podcast, where we talk to the innovative, the daring, and the bold, providing informative topics for the Black LGBT. And you know, every now and then you come across a fellow podcaster. This is my first time interviewing another podcaster. I've never done it before. This is my first time. But at the same time, this is a person that has been around for quite some time. Looking at his history, he's an LGBT culture writer with over 10 million views to his blog. He studied journalism at the University of Memphis and also started giving his own opinions about the Black gay men in particular. He's basically outspoken when it comes to talking on certain panels about Black gay men on Portrayal and Media panel, which is actually hosted by the Red Floor Foundation, the Pride for Next Generation with the Center of Black Equity, and also been volunteered into the OUT Memphis Community Center and also does free digital content management. Man, okay, you doing a lot.
I do just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So I am introducing Mr. Ronald Matters. How you doing, Ronald?
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I was listening to your show and I was like, oh my gosh, he has great conversations. I need to figure out how to connect with this guy.
Yeah, you know, listen, I'm trying to compete. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because I'm looking at all of your content, and you have been on YouTube. You have been on several outlets that actually kind of surprises me for a little bit. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this guy has been doing this far more years than I have. And so when I look at all this stuff, you started way before everybody else really got into it, you know? And first off, I got to ask you, what made you get into the social media, the online, the blogging? What made you get into this?
2005, I was starting at the University of Memphis, journalism with the concentration in magazines. But people weren't really reading magazines that much anymore. Well, the talk about moving to online was going on. And so I was like, well, if I'm in school studying journalism, and when I get this degree, my starting salary is going to be $18,000 to $23,000.
Ooh.
I've got to get a move on what the next thing is going to be. So online writing was going to be the next thing. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just do what I can on my own to study what's going on and how to write for online while still studying and getting my basics in journalism and understanding how magazine writing works, but also giving myself how to writing will evolve in the future.
Now, so this is before nobody even really figured out how to make money on this stuff, right?
Well, back in 2005, that was definitely not the case, but the blog didn't start until around 2010.
Okay.
In around 2008-ish, 2009, I ended up dropping out of college, really close to graduation. So then,
what? Wait! You dropped out of? Why'd you drop out of college?
Summertime was coming up, and I had bills, and I know I couldn't go back home to the family house because I was a man then. I like to drink and go to the club, and I like to bring boys back to the dorm room.
Okay.
And I just couldn't give all in Memphis, Tennessee. No, you don't bring somebody home to your mama house. Somebody you're punching them. No.
Okay.
So I started the blog because I knew I was going to have to. I was highly interested in continuing my passion studying journalism. I was highly interested in where it was going because it was starting to pick up. Like Laughing Out Loud with Darian was a blog then. And there was Rod 2.0. He was
I remember Rod 2.0
blogger at the time.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a guy, I want to say he was talking about his HIV journey. I think his name was Kevin or something like that. Dang, I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
But there was 2 or 3. There was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so I then started saying, okay, well, I'm looking at them, and then I know that I want to continue my passion for studying where journalism is going. So I will start the blog. I've been studying it in school. I really took a lot of my core classes and did not take all of, I had taken none of my science classes. And I had taken 1 math, Like when I was a student study journalism, I was like, what is all this fluff? What is I want to talk to students to learn what general studies? Oh, what extra credit? What it was some other class of credit. I took a majority of my journalism courses. And that's probably also another reason why I dropped out, because I was like, I have 6 credit hours of science to take. No, I'm not doing that. I know the journalism industry. I know it. I can do it.
Okay.
Believing in myself, I've been sounding really confident. Okay.
You sound, yeah, you really, but first off, I mean, to go into something that you really don't even know that much about, you really, it's a lot of self-discovery. But at the same time, it
Uh-huh.
takes a lot of confidence to continue to persevere through all that stuff, despite, maybe not the non-popularity. Well, first off, let's go to that popularity. In the very beginning, how was it received?
How was what received?
How was your blog received? How was everything that you were doing at that
Oh,
time?
well, in the beginning, you as a new artist, with no record label behind me, I was putting out his songs every day. No one was hearing my music.
Okay, okay.
And so then I was like, okay, so but public relations and marketing is another, concentration under the journalism umbrella. So then I was like, well, let me sit here and look at YouTube for a couple hours and figure out how to market a website, how to market. And so then I was like, okay, well, let me go see how Rod 2.0 is writing his headlines, or how he's introducing his content, what kind of pictures he's using. So I had to use better photos. I had to write catchier headlines. I had to talk about various topics, because everybody wasn't coming to see me talk about Obama all the time. Some people wanted to see some basketball wives and some Tammy Roman,
Yeah.
or some Nene Leakes. So I had to start talking about more topics. And so and then Facebook and came out with like groups. And so Facebook groups really helped. So it was quiet at first, but then with a little bit more study and self-discovery, as you called it, that's a good word, self-discovery.
Self-discovery.
Um, yeah, so with a little bit more, just give a little bit more. It's always evolving and changing, and you get to grow with it or get left behind.
You could probably give a whole sermon in class in terms of, your knowledge in terms of, seriously, how in terms of how you actually really came from the beginning in the very early part, and you probably, not
Uh-huh.
even probably, but you did see the progression, not just in the platform but also in yourself in terms of what it is
Yes.
of what takes what. Because like I said, if you actually go back to where you are today, 10 million, just let's touch on that for a minute. 10 million on the blog, on your blog
Um,
alone.
yeah, 10 million views overall.
Oh,
Like a lot of people have supported the blog and come to see a lot of the different things I talk about. I put out like the Black AIDS Institute released a study saying that the HIV workforce was incompetent. Read this report.
ooh,
And so a lot of people were saying like, oh, is Ronald Matters going against the Black AIDS Institute? But I was encouraging people to read the report. And
yes,
then I put out another, talk about something else about different research and things that are going on. And so people who work in HIV communities have said like, thank God that you are doing this. I've been approached by so many different counties all over the nation, because they say like the people that work at these places really aren't that smart. Like these governments are run by old white men. So when it comes to combating high rates of HIV, like they don't really know what's going on, where to get information. And my blog is a source for a lot of that, and I talk about that stuff on the podcast now.
you,
So
the podcast. Now, I did want to step into the podcast game a little bit. What made you get into podcasting?
um, progression of blogging. I don't know. I've just always I do magazines was dying, so I had to get into the writing, and then the videos doing videos helped the blog, and then blogs started dying because people were getting their news on Instagram and listening to audiobooks. And listening to podcasts. I was like, well, I'm not about to do an audiobook, and I have a real job. I can't sit up and update Instagram all day. So I'll just do my writing on the side and make my podcast my main food. And so that's currently where I am. So
Now,
that's evolution.
now, well, it seems like that way that a lot of people who were blogging, they automatically progress into something on YouTube or something as a podcast. So with your audience,
Hmm.
that actually helped you a lot because they followed you. Is that correct?
Yes. When I saw that, um, there was like two or three people who I knew and followed doing it, but I really again thought I was just a pioneer in the game. I knew like Kid Free, of course, has to read, but like outside of that, I wasn't really listening to other podcasts. But
Ah,
now that I'm doing it for real, I'm like, oh shit, I thought I was at least going to be the Kelly of the group, and I'm just, I'm not a full Farrah. Where's my luggage? But I'm just out here amongst the fray. But it's a beautiful thing because podcasting is the community that I wish the Black gay community could be.
ooh, what? Wait, what do you mean by that?
I mean, there's just so much love. Like I listen to your podcast, and I listen to the John Effect podcast. I listen to the Outline podcast. The Boys Love Beyonce podcast. Like so many different Black gay podcasts, and like we share each other's episodes across each other's timelines. And when someone says, "Hey, looking for podcast recommendations," you know, even with Black gay businesses, if somebody said, "Hey, I'm looking to hire a DJ," Black gay men are always on the latest in the music,
True.
and so like no one's ever like, "Hey, I'm looking for a fashion designer." There's not a lot of people on Instagram shouting out other Black gay fashion designers. We're all out here doing things, amazing things, and holding down day jobs, but no one's sharing the love. Or it's like, hey, support my friend doing this. I think that there could be more of that in our community.
I never thought about that. I never actually thought about that. And you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And so, I mean, when it comes to even talking about, first off, just mental health, because a lot of your Here It Now podcast is more pertaining to mental health. Is that correct?
Well, like the blog, we talk about a little bit of everything. We know that current events and sex keep people tuning in every week, but we definitely include um, bits and pieces of mental health in it. This week, I talked about October 5th being National Depression Screening Day. Definitely go to mentalhealthscreening.org or look at local hospitals around you and clinics to see what they're doing to participate in National Depression Screening Day. It's on the rise.
So you know I'm just kind of curious when people talk to you about what it is you do, and
Okay.
pretty much what I'm thinking to myself, because I looked at all the stuff that you were doing. I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if someone walked up to you and say, "What do you do?" What is the normal first thing you normally tell them?
Uh,
That's what I thought you would say.
well, I definitely claim blogger first. I'm very proud of my legacy with blogging, and I do the podcast as well. I'm a blogger and a podcaster. I do some social media management work for different things on the side, like very low, like probably two or three clients overall. But I'm skilled in that because I've spent so much time marketing a blog and marketing a podcast. If you need some help getting, well, definitely supporting. Like things are starting up for a few companies, and they say, "Hey, you do great work on Instagram. Can you manage my Instagram and post things to my Instagram or help me connect to a following on Facebook or something like that?" Sure, I don't mind. You know, helping them find their target customer and reaching that target customer as they need to.
Yeah,
But
because that's the because I'm thinking to myself, all right, when you actually somebody's telling me exactly what it is that I do, I really do have to stop and think for a minute, because I don't maybe do enough on
mm,
social media and everything, but I do a lot of stuff even within the community. I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's my 30-second commercial?
oh
That
yes, your elevator
your
pitch.
elevator. What is your elevator pitch? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking
Uh,
at all the things to do. I'm thinking, what would be Ronald's elevator pitch? That's why I had to ask that
and
question.
not like a community. There's usually a community something. I'm not an activist per se. I mean, I have walked in marches and stuff, but I mean that's not my everyday. I don't know. I just claim blogger,
Okay.
blogger, culture writer. Um, you know, I don't know. Now I need to think about that.
Yeah, yeah. The 30-second elevator pitch, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, clear you have a lot of work that's doing something. And I like, but when I see some of your posting, first off, your website, it definitely covers a lot. You have a lot of pertaining to
Hmm.
entertainment, but also pertaining to what people really need to know, and that's what usually attracts me in terms of getting people to know what they should know. And I
Hmm.
definitely observe your work on that. But definitely, like I said, when it comes to the YouTube, which I had looked, I didn't know you were doing that for 7 years. That's about 7 years you
Uh,
were doing it, right?
I did it off and on for a good five.
Okay.
I did a lot of basketball wives reviews, and I did some gay stuff here and there. Gay movies everyone should see. I think I did two videos about that. And then I also did the when it first came out, the HIV test at home.
Okay.
I was so nervous about that because it had just came out, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Walgreens and I'm gonna pay $50 for this test. I'm gonna take it on YouTube because I want black gay men to know that even with all the, I don't think my doctor likes gay men, or there's not anywhere close to me I can go in my community. You can go to a Walgreens or a CVS and you can take the test at home by yourself. And I sat there reading the instructions on YouTube. And what did I have to do? I had to prick my finger or something. And then I sat there and I waited for the results to load. And just imagine sitting there on YouTube, like, I hope this comes back negative, because if it comes back positive, do I still upload the video?
Right. Right.
It's just, but I wanted for black gay men to know that you can do it. And so, like, the comments were very encouraging. Like, oh, okay, I see that you can do it. I know that I can do it. So, a lot of thumbs up on that video. I think it got 8,000
Okay.
views. So, because I
Nice.
know that that's not going to be something everybody's searching for. So, I'm happy with my 8,000 views about taking the HIV test at home.
You know what? I think it's. I think it's to me. I don't know. I guess for me, maybe you share the same thing. When it comes to having a platform like this, to at least be able to kind of reach a lot of people, thousands of people that
Hmm.
never really even thought that you would reach. That at some point of a social stand on something or social issues to bring up, it makes total sense to do it. And I think that to me, it makes sense to be able to not use just to simply for spilling the tea or kikiing and everything like that, but you also use it as a platform to be able to be more of awareness, and that makes sense, and that's one of the things I do admire with you. Now, through the years that you have been doing this, which I'm actually very curious to kind of get your opinion. What have you observed about the black gay community?
One thing in particular that gets on my nerves is we want these filmmakers to make great, amazing gay short films that's not all about sex and not about this or whatever their disdain is. And then I say, hey, you guys, I just watched this amazing short film about black love. Yes, there's one sex scene, but it's really about, accepting each other from where they came from, where they are right now, and where they have the potential to go. And the comments would be, Ronald, there wasn't enough sex in that. I can't believe I had to fast forward to the sex. Okay.
Wow.
Well, when you say you want better content, but then like now people are enthused with chasing Dallas and chasing Atlanta, where it's like 5 years ago, if there was a wretched gay show on the internet, people was like, we are better than this, we should be better than this, and we deserve better than this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You gotta be honest about what y'all really want.
Yeah.
It's just so draining.
Uh,
Trying to figure it out.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Maybe like 2 months ago, I
Okay.
said I did see the reunion because of course, I mean T.S. Madison. I
Uh
follow
huh.
T.S. But the thing
I
about it
love
is,
her
when I
work.
saw the reunion, I'm thinking, my God. Okay, so wait a minute. I didn't know that this was actually. I'm not talking the show down. I'm just saying it was surprising to me.
Hmm.
So from your opinion, is there a division between the age group? Because we all find ourselves in different age groups. Is there a particular age group that's more leading where the LGBT community is going more than others?
I think it's fair. I mean, like I just turned 30. Like if I was between like 19 and 24, I would be amazed by Chasing Atlanta and Chasing Dallas. But just like even someone 43, I'm sure he's like, we waited so long to see our images of ourselves, and this is what is going on. As
Yeah.
a 43-year-old, you're probably like Chasing Atlanta is ridiculous. But shout out to the producers of that franchise because like he's like a black gay manga guy. Can he do a Chasing Miami next? The content is reaching people. Terry Theory, who hosts In Theory podcast, shout out to him. He just hosted the reunion for Chasing Dallas, and I immediately reposted it. And I said, congrats, shout out to you. Because, he's created opportunities for other black gay men who work in media, other black gay men who work in fashion design to have platforms. That's what everybody else is doing. Nene Leakes has Swag Boutique, and she's sitting up on HSN, selling out. Thank you for creating a platform for people who are chasing Dallas and chasing Atlanta. Give them platforms so we can be just as great.
Okay. Okay. So now when you see, so basically when it comes to you choosing what to talk about, is there a
Things
particular
that
thing
matter
that,
to me.
say it again?
Things that matter to me.
Exactly. Things, okay. And what normally matters to Ronald?
Um, back when I feel like the ageism thing is coming back. I really did care about a lot of morning meat. I talked about that on the blog. I talked about a lot of reality TV. But now I'm really interested in like education and research, more research than the fluff stuff. Like one of the top posts right now on the blog is about PrEP use in the military. 87% of the users are LGBT men, but even in the military, like y'all aren't smart. Didn't y'all go to school? Didn't the military pay for y'all to go to school? And a lot of the doctors in the military hospitals are saying they're not properly educated. That's what I care about. Because a
Wow.
lot of these military men have, they go do these tours here and there in Iraq or wherever they're doing tours now, and they're out in somebody just came back from somewhere. Where did he come from? The Middle East. He just came back. He has all this money. Of course, you go about Camaro. You're partying. You are more likely to engage in what's deemed as reckless, quote unquote, be engaged in reckless sex. But you need to know you got all this money. You're doing all these things. What about financial literacy for the black community? Gay people overall earn a lot of money. We need to be helping people become more financially literate than teaching them about, okay, so the word T means this, but when you say what's T, it means this.
Right.
Like we need to be more excited to talk about more research. I feel like I'm getting old. I just want to talk about reality TV and fight. No. I want to talk about smarter things. I want to have smarter conversations.
Right. Well, it's not, it sounds like to me, Ronald is just growing up a little bit more. That's all, right?
Yeah, and so I'm hoping everybody who listened to me when I was singing No, No, No will be growing up with me when I'm married and have 3 kids. And my husband cheated on me. We're going on tour to talk about it. I hope my audience is growing up with me like that.
Yeah, yeah. But that's a good question when it comes to discovering your audience. I mean, who do you mainly find is really the people who are listening to you? Find is it mostly just a younger audience? You find it mostly just a mixture of everybody?
It's mostly black gay men. When I had the blog, because of course I talked about a lot of different things, I had like a 11 to 12% female audience. But even then, it was still a lot of men.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because that is my target. Well, that is my target audience. Things that matter to me as a black gay man. So I continue to talk about that. Even in podcasting, there are a few women who listen. We have like 2 or 3 lesbian listeners that stand out, and even 2 or 3 heterosexual women have left comments about episodes. So I'm excited about that, and I think that's great. But I want to reach black gay men. That's where I am. I'm strong in that.
Now, in the process of blogging and process of YouTubing and process of all that, you've had quite an adventure. You've had, I think, last time I read Rihanna, she actually tweeted a link directly to your blog. Is that correct?
Oh yes, and it was so, like I mentioned, it was so crazy. I had randomly shared, like I'm talking about everything under the sun, and there was this guy in this ambulance who was just having this amazing time. The radio station had played like a Vogue mix to S&M or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just a cute, cheerful moment. So I shared it, and then Rihanna retweeted it and said, "This paramedic guy is the reason why I will never stop," or something. So like as a music artist, you want people to enjoy your music. So and then it was featured on his local news station. He was embarrassed, but I don't think the paramedic company fired him because he was having a ball.
He was. Like, oh I think I know what video. I did see this video. I did see.
Yeah. So it was another video that went like really wild. I was sitting at work one day, and there was a guy in a green wig, who was giving a recap of an accident to the news, the local news station. And I just randomly shared that video. It wasn't really getting any views before I posted it. It was like in Jackson, Mississippi. This guy looked really crazy to a lot of people. So, and he was just really flagrant. Girl, they was spinning around like a hurricane, girl. I'm not waiting for Burger King, but I had to stop, girl. I had to give me a piece of burger. But then it turns out that guy had a small moment on the internet, and then he ended up getting arrested for fraud claims, credit fraud or something. Don't quote me to that. But he did get charged with something like the week after that video went viral.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I contributed to that.
Well, I'm actually kind of curious when it comes to moments like that, when people actually react to the videos you post. Do you really think about the influence and the power that you really have when you do these things?
Well, in the moment, in the immediate moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, here's a guy having fun to a Vogue mix of Rihanna in the ambulance at work. We all have been at work, and our song comes on, we can't help ourselves. But that was a cheerful, lighthearted moment. I wasn't expecting for it to like go viral. I wanted the black gay girls in the Vogue thing to see it like, yes, queen, jam in your band. but somehow it got. But Rihanna also like goes to like the latex ball and stuff like that. So it got to her and she saw it in Castle. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that Rihanna saw it, acknowledged it, man, enjoying her music. But now when the local news station goes to his house, I was like, well, I guess they got to because it's going viral, one. Then Rihanna endorsed it, too. So now the local news station is excited. I just, wow. I'm speechless, too. I'm speechless as well.
Now, see, even when these moments of surprising, like I think I also saw where somebody, I think one of the Real Housewives of Atlanta threatened you or something like that.
Oh, I was definitely like Funky Dineva and the lady who runs straight from the A.com.
Uh-huh.
All of us cease and desist letters for talking about Chateau Charay while it was still in shambles.
What?
So, yeah, she sent me one. I think Phaedra Parker sent me two. I shouldn't say spoken like this out loud. But I think Phaedra Parker sent me two cease and desist letters.
Wow. So when you receive, again, talk about your power. When you receive things like that, what's the first thing that really comes to your mind?
I don't know if I can cuss, but
go ahead. It's a podcast.
Let me talk about this right because I am famous. Like I run my little blog and I do it because things that matter to me. So like when I get like a real letter from a lawyer from a famous person on TV, let me call my friend. Bitch, I am famous. But what do I do because I'm not trying to get sued?
I mean, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that is kind of surprising when you actually get a cease and desist letter directly. That means that really does kind of give more validity in terms of how much influence that social media is now gone and how much you play a part, especially within the LGBT community. So when you see all those things occurring, and you kind of say to yourself, man, this is actually a platform that I've been doing very well in. Is there another category, another chapter for Ronald Matters? I mean, do you see yourself on TV? Do you see yourself, in Hollywood? What's the next chapter?
Oh my gosh, all that is too famous. No, I can't deny that I would like for my writing and podcasting or whatever my media work is to pay the bills, because that's what I went to school and studied. I still have all the student loans. But I mean, like, no, because there's too many cease and desist letters, and then you actually have to have a lawyer on file and all that. I don't have I don't have
but don't you see it as a part of an evolution of where your career is going?
I don't know. I don't like right now. I'm really excited to eventually have a first live show for Here For It podcast with my co-host at the Superman. We just launched T-shirts with some catchphrases from our podcast.
Nice.
I'm excited about those things. Like, one hit song at a time. I that's where I'm at.
One hit song at a time. One hit song at a time.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you now. Also, when it comes to when you see other blogs and see other podcasts, what makes Ronald Matters work stand out more than others?
I don't know. I'm confident in my voice. I'm confident in the things that I have to say. I've gone to enough HIV conferences where we discuss everything under the sun. I've done enough. I get enough emails from mental health professionals telling me to say things better next time. Say it this way. Because I also reach out to mental health professionals. I don't know everything. I could be a little depressed myself or a little bipolar. And I'm undiagnosed. So if I'm talking about something heavy, I definitely have like people in my phone that I text and call, and so I'm confident in my voice and the things that I'm saying. I don't feel like not to say like I'm better than people, but I don't know if a lot of other podcasters are doing the same amount of research that we do on Here For It podcast. Like having the sexual health segment is really important, and it was really important that I find someone who was in the medical field, and my close friend is a nurse. So it's like that helps with our validity in what we're saying, and that's really important to me. So,
well, one thing's for sure. I mean, I definitely see a lot of people recognizing you as well. You're definitely being recognized for your work by Black LGBT Power 100. You've also QUEERTY's 5 Black LGBTQ blogs just basically started out. Also, you've been read by I think both lists that we're on, but no, correction, I'm not on the list. I'm amongst the directory. But you are on, I believe, Podcasts in Color. The list of one of the top for 2017. When you normally get recognized like that, what's the first thing that really kind of comes through your mind like that?
To be named one of the top 100 podcasts of 2017, I was like, oh my gosh, we were like 6-7 months in when she told me that we were going to be doing it, but we were a part of it, and I was like, we have only been a podcast for like 6-7 months, and we are already out here being recognized as one of the top 100 podcasts of the year, the largest directory for podcasts by people of color. I was like, that, and that's so much more to me, because it's not just, like iTunes saying like you charted this week. I mean, like, cool, but like for people of color to be recognizing us, it was amazing. Medium.com featured us in like one of the top 8 sex positive podcasts that you need to be listening to, or some fancy jargon title they used. And that was really exciting as well, because I was just like, what? Look at us. Look at us. We're just staying true and doing our work. We really do our work. It's really staying committed to our work. And everything else will come. The Grammys will come. The RIAA certification will give us our platinum plaques. But just do your work. Do your work. Make the song great. and everything
You
else.
okay, now so new people coming in, because it's a lot of knowledge. Like I said, you've been doing this for quite some time. So with
Mm-hmm.
that, what exactly? Of course, do the work. But what do you mean by do the work? Give me top 5 things when a person who's listening said, "I want to follow what Ronald is doing and how he got there." Give me top 5
Oh,
things that people can walk away from.
consistency. No matter what you're doing, consistency. Um, two. Know 2 and 3. Know what your audience wants. Know what your audience wants. And the third thing is knowing when to give it to them. People are more likely to receive messages about HIV at a certain time of day. If I get off work, frustrated, I'm on the train commuting. I know that then my friend has a little blog, but I don't want to hear about HIV right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So knowing what they want, knowing what they need, and when to give it to them. Number 4, drink tequila or smoke your weed or whatever you need to do to get in the groove. Because if your heart is not in it, other people can tell.
Uh, that's
I,
interesting. That's it. I never heard of that one. Just if your heart's not in it, people can tell. Okay, all right.
because I'm like, okay, you guys, today we're going to talk about please tune in. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? I mean, what is he talking about? I'm clicking off of this. You need to get yourself, if you don't like listening to Emotions by Mariah Carey, get you in the groove. Please do that before you press record, before you sit down to write. But, okay, just 4. And the last thing is 5 things. I don't know. Do your research.
Do your research. Hey,
Know
there you go. That's another one there. Do your research.
Know what you're talking about. Please, don't be out here being loud and wrong. So there's no reason to upload this to SoundCloud and get a premium plan if you're going to be up here talking stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I mean, well, think about it, because I think a lot of people. The reason why I was asking top 5, because I think a lot of people really come into the game thinking they're just going to start off being popular, and they're mostly looking at their numbers and not really paying attention to the content. And so that was I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Ronald can speak louder on this than anything. So, so I mean, now for the next few years, right now until you figure out the next chapter. Of course, live. I don't know how you're gonna do live. What made you think about live? What made live is gonna be, one of those things
We're
that
getting so many messages from people to come to their cities. We're getting I probably can put like 50 emails right now. Like, when are you coming? When are you coming to this city? When you coming to, like, Atlanta really want, like, let's see, there's Brooklyn, Washington, D.C. because we're here, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, and who will be number 5? Like, there are some cities that are, like, really heavy in our cities and our top listeners, and they really want to see both of us come and do a live show. Like, because we are so, like, we have a few YouTube videos, and we have patreon.com/YourBoyPod, where you get some bonus video content. And you're like, I really want to see this interaction in person. Like, it's like the things that come out of my co-host now. Oh my God. And then, of course, he's like reacting to the things that are coming out of my mouth. It's like, I'm like a power bottom, and I'm confident in it. And I think versatile people are the devil. You need to be a top or a bottom. And you need to, like, that's increasing your, I feel, that's increasing your health risk.
Yeah.
So, like, we're really strong in our opinions in the way that we look at each other when we're talking. People see that on our few videos, and they're just like, y'all are a hoot. Y'all are.
One thing's for sure, I can tell, because when I've listened to a couple of podcasts with you guys, I'm thinking, yeah, and sometimes I think, man, maybe I should get a partner again, but never mind. I'll just keep it the way.
I really like the style. Like, I enjoyed the conversation. Should we stop using the word gay? I think the point. I really enjoyed the conversation that you guys had, but there was like 5 or 6 voices. It sounded like.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. But I think y'all missed where I think when the term queer should be used instead of the term gay, because a lot of trans people feel like everything is always gay this, gay that, gay this, gay that. Even, and like the trans people don't feel included. Bisexuals don't always feel included, and they don't especially with the word gay, they don't want to just claim the word gay because it's a popular word. So saying the word queer sometimes, and when discussing representation, makes it more inclusive. But I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of you guys having your discourse about, well, to me, it means this, and to me, gay means that, because it's the conversation we need to be having.
You know, I mean, when I first started a podcast and I had a crew, you know, that was one thing
Hmm.
that was one thing that we wanted to tackle. You know, let's tackle particular topics that people may find of interest. And it's kind of funny because even though it's over 2 years, those podcasts still are kind of ranked pretty high for me, and I really appreciate that. So I do appreciate you listening. Now the next question then it comes to, when it comes to new podcasters, because podcasters come and go. A lot of them
Uh-huh.
come and go, and they really don't necessarily understand that what's the work ethic behind it. What would you say that
Hmm.
your journey into the podcast, because you're still fairly new, what has been your journey into this podcast field?
It's not about the money, like it wasn't for blogging. So I think I accepted that earlier. Um, when I have a good viral video or two, or somebody's news leaked on the blog, it could be a good few $100. But like when that moment dies down in social media, I mean the chicks go back to what they were going to be, to what they were at first.
Yeah.
But definitely in podcasting, um, tips for new podcasters: be serious. You have to have 2 episodes before you can upload to Apple Podcasts. So you might as well put 2 episodes out when you first get started. Try your best to be available on all platforms. And then after that, marketing. You really got to market. You have to figure out what other people in podcasting are doing and how are they successfully marketing their podcasts, and emulate those things. Even if they're in different categories. Like some political podcasts do really great marketing because they know they need to include fancy video graphics and all of that. So cool. If you like the video graphics, then you need to either sit down and learn how to edit a video, or you need to pay somebody to do it. But I guess since I have a face and I've already done YouTube videos, I can get on my Instagram or my Facebook video and say, hey, you guys, a new podcast episode, and people don't listen. But how I market and how you will need to market are two different things.
Exactly.
So do your work.
All right, and last but not least, because
That's really all I got.
yeah,
What tips do you have? No, I want to hear what, because you've been doing it for a while.
well,
I know.
well, well, it's not often I get questions from guests. All right, so you kind of took me off on that.
Honesty.
But the thing about it is, for me, I look at it as there's a taste for everything. Meaning, some people like Red Lobster, some people like Ruth Chris, some people like Burger King,
Oh.
some people like. So there's a taste when it comes to podcasts. There's an array of taste. It is up to you exactly which mood you're in. Because the topics that I talk about may not necessarily be what people want to be in all the time. I'm going to talk about serious topics, and sometimes I'm going to actually just bring on guests that I think that a lot of people that they never really hear from, they can be able to hear at least on my show. So
Okay.
that's the thing that I like, because people are able to. Hopefully, I ask questions that are really engaging, but more so than that, ask sometimes some tough questions, because they probably don't get it too much on the outside, because usually the interviews that they get are usually 15-minute, 5-minute little bleeps, to where I can be able to get them at least for 30 minutes to an hour. And they dedicate their time
Okay.
strictly to me, and I can be able to ask those questions that they probably don't get from the outside as much. So that's the good part about it. So I know that the people who are going to listen to my podcast, they have a different taste, but I like bringing different
Oh.
guests to also fulfill that taste.
Okay. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and add that one to what I said. I said that. You didn't say that.
All right,
Copyrighted
Ronald.
infringement.
I enjoyed. Hold on. I got one more last question, because you've been doing blogging for years, and sometimes I'm thinking, and I'll be honest with you, I attempted blogging. And then I said, I'm done. It was just that. So, what keeps you blogging?
In the beginning, it was trying to learn. And now that I've learned, I feel like I need everybody else to know this. Everybody else needs to know it. So that keeps me going. Like when there's new, like I'm serious about like finding new research and making sure that it gets out there. I get in all these Facebook groups with like 18,000 and 20,000 members, and I share what I have to say, or I refresh it, or I need to make sure that people at different times of the day are getting to see this across their screen. I'm on Twitter a lot, so just make sure that people know that they're really out here saying 1 and 2. If we don't get our HIV under control, our HIV rate under control, we are too smart, we are too beautiful, and we have too much to give the world for us to be 1 and 2.
That's for sure. That's true. Well, one thing's for sure, Ronald, you have definitely made this and a learning podcast also for me. Sometimes you get guests because you just want to talk about what they're doing, but quite frankly, I couldn't lose the opportunity because of all those years of you doing this. It makes a lot of sense to be able to kind of ask those things so a lot of people can be able to take something away from it as well. But one thing's for good, shout out to you and your success. You're doing very well in what you do. So I know much more things, whether you want to hear it or whether you're ready for it or not, bigger things are coming your way. So I appreciate you coming on the show, Ronald.
Thank you for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be on here.
No problem. And this is Chris from Brothaspeak Podcast signing off with Mr. Ronald Matters, because that's all who matters, right? You guys, you have a wonderful day, all right?